Today, ladies and gentlemen, being the International Anti-Corruption Day, I was wondering what better place is it to observe that day than here, the high tempo of corruption. And I'm glad that we have some of our comrades that are fighting aggressively against that corruption. We salute you, Honorable Senyonyi, and your team. I won't give further comments on the International Anti-Corruption Day. Just tell your speaker that I've dedicated this day to her. I salute you, colleague leaders, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ugandans. And I want to thank you once again, Honorable Senyonyi, for hosting this very important engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 20th day of November, the nation woke up to the disturbing news of a cross-border abduction of Dr. Kizza Besigye and his colleague, Alhaji Obeid Kamulegeya. This was done in Kenya by Uganda's security operatives. It was done in violation of their rights and in utter violation of international law. They were then smuggled into Uganda discreetly, of course in violation of any known extradition processes. And although these two were not serving military men, they were arraigned before the General Court Martial in violation of the Constitution and in utter contempt of all the pronouncements of the Constitutional Court. As we all know, numerous times the Constitutional Court has made it clear that it's illegal to try non-soldiers, civilians in military courts. We, as a National Unity Platform, have been the biggest victims of these kangaroo courts before, during, and after the elections of 2021. Over 2,000 of our members and supporters were abducted and detained on the orders of either the unit disciplinary committees or the division court martials or the general court martial. Most of them were charged with ridiculous trumped up charges of being found with military stores, literally referring to our red berets and red overalls. As we speak today, very many of them are still languishing in prison, 4 years and some more, without trial. Recently, all of us saw with shock how the regime forced and coerced some of our comrades to accept the offenses that they never committed. It was such a travesty of justice, and we call upon all Ugandans of good conscience to condemn it and continue condemning it. But before all this happened, you all remember that I was personally charged before the same court, the military court, and the regime presented 2 machine guns claiming that they were found in my hotel room in Arua. Of course, eventually, the guns disappeared, and out of both international and local pressure, the charges were dropped. So when we speak about the oppression and the injustice in military courts, ladies and gentlemen, we don't just talk about it as academic knowledge. This is lived experience. We've been through it, and so many Ugandans continue to go through it. The court martial has been turned into a tool of oppression by General Museveni because he has full control of it. He decides who gets charged in the court martial, what charges are preferred against that person, and who does or doesn't get bail from the court martial. He uses it to punish and intimidate his opponents, and we condemn that. So here we come together knowing that Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Obeid Kamulegeya cannot and will not get justice in that military court. We therefore jointly demand that Dr. Kizza Besigye's charges and Haji Obedi Kamulegeya's charges be dropped, and if they can't be dropped, let them at least be charged in a civilian court, because they are civilians. We demand that those charges, those bogus charges, be dropped against them. And I mean, looking at common sense, even if Dr. Kizza Besigye and his colleague were found with guns in Kenya, how does that become a monopoly? How do those guns become a monopoly, or even the business of the Ugandan military? We are aware that these charges in the court-martial are meant to intimidate, coerce, and ultimately subdue the people of Uganda and their leaders, to stop them from challenging the corrupt system, the corrupt criminal regime of General Museveni. We are here to say to General Museveni that no amount of coercion, no amount of oppression, no amount of impunity will stop the people of Uganda from seeking better. And yes, no amount of intimidation will stop us from offering leadership to these people until we get to a country that we want to live in. Friends, so many dictators have done exactly, or even worse, to their people like Museveni has done to the people of Uganda. But history has taught us that they ultimately come crumbling down when people don't give up. From the dictators that we've seen in history, and yesterday it was Assad of Syria who has oppressed the people of Syria, him and his family, for more than 50 years. They came crumbling down yesterday. So yesterday it was Assad in Syria, and hopefully tomorrow it will be Museveni in Uganda. Of Uganda never to give up on hope, to keep fighting for what they rightly deserve, for keep pushing for liberation, because there's no doubt that their freedom is very soon coming. I want to thank you all for listening to me. Thank you very much for God and my country.
The principals of various political entities here, our host here, the leader of opposition, honorable members of parliament present here, members of the press, all the dignitaries. First of all, I would like to correct the impression here. I wasn't invited as the Lord Mayor here. Yes, I hold that title. I'm proud of it. I was duly elected, but I'm not here as the Lord Mayor of Kampala. I am here as the acting president of the FDC, sitting at Katonga, now in transit to PFF. So I would like that to be duly recognized, because we had a delegates conference that convened at Katonga, and I was duly elected, and we have an institution we are running there. We are in the process of morphing into PFF. So I headed a delegation here comprising of Honorable Waf here, Honorable Bakandonda here, and also Honorable Doreen Nyanjula here. I would like to thank the principals here of various political entities for organizing this arrangement, this forum, to jointly come out to condemn these transgressions. This is not a matter for Dr. Kizza Besigye. It's not a matter for Obedi Kamulegeya. It's not a matter for the NUP victims who are languishing before the General Court Martial, and of course in other ungazetted detention facilities. It's not a matter for General Muntu or any of us. It's a matter for all Ugandans. We are talking about universal human rights. We are talking about a travesty of justice, which is under our watch, superintended over by people who are supposed to take charge of the country under the existing constitutional order. The greatest concern to all of us, the Constitution right now is a mere paper tiger. And that should concern all of us. We oftentimes talk about the Constitution being the supreme law of the land, but that's no more. It's an illusory document which is taking a direction parallel to what the powers that be are doing. It's incumbent upon all of us, regardless of our political differences, different political affiliations, to rally in single file and take on the bull by the horns. And I'm glad this morning you have assembled here to make this proclamation that we stand in unison against this injustice. We thank you very, very much, all of you, the principals, for the firm stance you have taken. For the record, the General Court Martial is not a court. And I will request from our vocabulary to expand it. We should expand it from our vocabulary. It's a disciplinary committee. If you want to be civil enough, you can call it a tribunal. But it's not a court within the meaning of the law. It's a misnomer, even under the Constitution, under our laws. It's not a court of competent record. It's not a court of judicature. When we are looking at the hierarchy of courts, it's nowhere. It's like the discipline and, is it called Discipline and Rules Committee of Parliament? It's not a court. So by continuing to call it a court, we are sanitizing it. And we give that facade of, trial being conducted by an impartial court, which is not the case. So let us call it what it is, a disciplinary committee of the military, where they are dragging civilians to subject them to martial law. And it's high time we came out together, assertively and aggressively, to say enough is enough. We have exhausted the legal processes of challenging the jurisdiction of this court, this tribunal over civilians. We have done that before. And I would like colleagues here, without singling out individuals, at least the Honorable Medard Segona here led us very well in the case of Kabaziguruka, where a court unequivocally pronounced itself on this matter. Unequivocally. 2021, a decision was made. The Attorney General made an appeal, which is still pending. And those of you who are interested in this ruling, which was given by by Justice Owinyidoro, 2021, staying execution of that proclamation, they were very instructive directives. He said, since this is a matter of great public concern, urgent in nature, it will be fixed and disposed of expeditiously. That was way back 5th August 2021. We are now in 2024. Maybe in his diction, with all due respect, the word expeditious has acquired a new meaning. Because if up to now it has not been disposed of, and I want to tell you for the record, since then, the justices of the Supreme Court were handling, many have passed on. Justice O.P.O.L. died, Justice Arach died, Justice Justice who retired, Mwonda, Faith Mwonda. Now it's just Chibita and Owinyidoro who are still there. And there is no indication as to when it's going to be disposed of. Members of Parliament who are here, Article 79 is very, very clear. It's a duty of all of you to protect, jealously, to protect the Constitution, the sanctity of the Constitution, its spirit and the letter. Let us rise to the occasion, regardless of our political divide. As I conclude, the proceedings continue tomorrow. The proceedings, the Impandi proceedings, continue tomorrow. The worst experience you can have as a practicing advocate is to appear before that committee. We had long taken decisions never to appear there. I remember, for the record, I want to again remind those who are not aware. It's not the first time Dr. Besigye is appearing there. 2005 he was there. And when we appeared with my brother here, Yusuf Nsibambi, then one of our legal counsel was bold enough, and this is what is demanded of all of us. The late Samuel Kaleganjuba. When he looked at the whole hostile environment in that room, manned by the late General Eri Tumwine, he said, this is a kangaroo court. He described it aptly. This is a kangaroo court. Then Eri Tumwine, in a bullish manner, with all, may his soul rest in eternal peace, asked, who has said it? Who has said it? There was a deafening silence within, I don't want to call it a courtroom, a room for a committee, I don't know, is it a committee room? In that committee room, there was deafening silence. Then Sam Kaleganjuba boldly stood up and said, I said it. Tumwine rolled his eyes 360 degrees. Said, he didn't know what to do about him. This is exactly what we need to do. Simply because you could not drag him to the dock, he had to pounce on the little ones, myself and Alak. We had to pay the price. We were dragged into the dock, court-martialed, and convicted. So I appear before that court, both as a counsel and as a convict. And look here, gentlemen, this is a very serious matter. You are having non-lawyers presiding over serious matters. The offense under Section 128 of the UPDF Act, under which Obed and Besigye are charged, carries a maximum sentence of death. Death, once they are convicted. Death. Firearms Act, you know the sentence, being in possession of military hardware. These are very serious offenses. In the case of Amon Tumwebaze, which was decided in 2022, the Constitutional Court was unequivocal. They said all cases which are within the purview of the civilian court cannot be tried in the General Court Martial under the Penal Code, Firearms Act, and whatnot. Their jurisdiction is restricted to only matters which are under the Penal Code and for service offenses. Now the charge sheet of Dr. Besigye, now it is stretching to Geneva, it is going to Greece, Kenya, wherever. Ladies and gentlemen, I kindly ask, let's rise to the occasion. It's the reason lawyers from all over the world are joining us. This morning, Martha Karua has come back. She has already landed. We are going to have a press conference shortly after you, and members of the press, you are invited. She has a package for you on the next phase. I think we are now going to engage another gear. We are in gear number 4 or 5. I don't want to tell you the second gear we are engaging. So shortly after this, I invite you at State Hall. You can.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to today's meeting with the press. Here with us are various leaders of political parties within the opposition and entities. As the opposition in Parliament, we are only playing host to this meeting, but it's really being headlined
by our senior leaders of the various political parties. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome members of parliament who are here. I know it's busy, there's numerous engagements in the constituencies and elsewhere, but thank you for making time to join our leaders regarding this matter. We are here as the opposition in solidarity over critical issues, one of which is the continued persecution of members of the opposition, supporters of the opposition, and now increasingly leaders within the opposition. This cannot continue to happen, and we look on as if it is okay. It is not okay, and that's why we are here. But perhaps before delving much into that, ladies and gentlemen, today is International Anti-Corruption Day. This is a day that was set after the passage of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2003 to raise public awareness against corruption. I thought it's important to let you know about this day because it's very critical. In Uganda, according to a report by the Inspectorate of Government, we lose over 10 trillion shillings per year to corruption. No wonder. We have got ailing hospitals and health centers, dilapidated schools, broken roads, and poor service delivery in general. Because the money that is meant to fix these issues is stolen by people in government. And so it's important that we continue to raise awareness, public awareness against corruption, especially on a day as critical as this one, the International Anti-Corruption Day. We must all in unison be able to condemn corruption in all its forms, regardless who commits it. There are many people in government that do that, many public officials, many civil servants, and for us in the opposition, we must beware to operate as carefully as we possibly can so that we have the moral authority to speak about corruption. Otherwise, when our hands are dirty, we then do not have the moral authority to speak about corruption. But when we ensure that we do what is right, we're able to be the moral conscience of the public regarding this matter. I thought I should throw that in. But now getting to the substantive matter as to why we have got our leaders here today. The arrest of our senior leader, one of our senior leaders within the opposition, Dr. Kizza Besigye. In fact, it was not an arrest, it was a kidnap from Kenya by Uganda security operatives, is something we are saying we will not keep quiet about. We do belong to different political entities as the opposition, but we are more similar than we are different. The issues that make us similar, the hounding, the persecution, and all of that, it happens to all of us in various ways. And that should be reason for us, and especially our senior leaders, to come together and say no to this illegality being committed by the state using the military courts, because it really is the state using these military courts to persecute for a long time opposition supporters, opposition leaders at various levels, and now very senior leaders of the opposition. And so we have welcomed our leaders here to in solidarity say no to this, to condemn it, and to say we want to jointly be in solidarity over this issue, because today it is Dr. Kizza Besigye, tomorrow it can be any other of the leaders in this room, and that's why we are here today. The Constitutional Court has pronounced itself on this matter severally, saying civilians should be tried in civilian courts. But the state continues to use this as a stick against the opposition. An election is around the corner and they will probably want to do this a lot more. So we are saying, no, let's come together now to condemn this before the state thinks it is okay to use it again and again. Because you see, once the state can do this to Dr. Kizza Besigye, and it is fine, even with the general opposition, tomorrow they'll do it to another. So we are here to let them know that when they touch any one of us, they have touched all of us in the opposition. And that is exactly why we are here, to express this solidarity. So I once again want to welcome our senior leaders of the different political parties in the opposition and the political entities within the opposition. Thank you for coming. Like I said, here at Parliament, we are only playing host, but the meeting is really for these are senior leaders, and they will be addressing us on this matter. At the tail end, we shall sign a joint communication in condemnation of this illegality that continues to happen, in solidarity of our senior leader and all the other opposition supporters who have suffered the brunt of this persecution. So I thank you, and I welcome you on behalf of my colleagues, members of Parliament, because this is our home as MPs, but many of you are senior leaders, you're not new to this place. You are OBs and OGs of this house. And so I would like to welcome you back to this, your house. A lot has changed since you were here. A lot has changed, and I'm sure you get surprised out there. I'm told there's been a bit more deployment today. I don't know whether it's because of these senior leaders being present. These are leaders, they're not terrorists. But anyhow, the state sees them as different. Getting them to access this place was very convoluted. A number of other leaders have been denied access to Parliament of Uganda. This Parliament on a daily basis welcomes all manner of people. People who are not even known, as long as they flash their ID at the entrance and they say, I'm going to the office of this member of Parliament, they will be allowed in. But these senior leaders in this country, some of whom have been in this Parliament as members, had to go through a lot for them to access. It's problematic, but that's all the persecution that we are going through, and we are hoping we can nip this in the bud. Mine was to welcome you and really to set the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the President of the National Unity Platform to come and give his address, and we'll be listening to the other political party leaders as well. You're welcome, sir.
Because there are issues we are trying to address. There is another lawyer who has also joined us from Angola. He has also just touched the ground now. There are those who are coming from Nigeria, South Africa, and across Africa. Let's team together. Let's take the bull by the horns. Let's marshal all the efforts we have. We put an end to this insanity. Together, we must decisively deal with this madness. Otherwise, tomorrow it will be you. Finally, we have it on good record. Dr. Besigye was supposed to be killed at Riverside. This I speak on good authority, and I don't want to mince words. The assignment are given to the mercenaries. Eliminate him, execute him. It was just by the grace of the Lord, a supervening factor came in. I think by divine intervention. Yes, when you talk about one act of God, that is survived by a whisker. Only the act of doing rendition was just an afterthought. But the mission finished him from there. On another occasion, we shall furnish you with the details of the same. So on that note, I want to end here.
On behalf of our National Coordinator, Honorable Ali Salaso, and on behalf of all the colleagues in Alliance for National Transformation, we've come to jointly stand with the rest of the opposition parties, stand in solidarity with Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Rutare, who were abducted in Kenya and have been arraigned before the military courts. Our demands are that Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Obedi Rutare be tried in the civil courts, because both are civilians. I'd like also to talk about another aspect. We should make every Ugandan concerned about this particular case. It's not every day that governments go and abduct their citizens from other countries, more so neighboring countries. One would have to look behind the mindsets of those who are conducting such an operation. where a government goes and abducts its citizens from another country and does not go through the established channels through which, when a person is arrested in a different country, processes are in place, are established, legal as well as diplomatic. That never happened because they were abducted on Saturday, and by Sunday, they were in Makinde, taken through both borders, the Kenyan border and the Ugandan border, the official borders. So what would be the mindset of those who are conducting such an operation, considering the consequences of that? Kenya itself, I saw a few days back, the public servant representing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs trying to explain this question because there are so many questions in Kenya itself. And I saw him almost speaking Greek because he was not able to come out openly to say whether the Kenyan government was behind it or not. That wouldn't be facing the Kenyan government right now if those who are conducting the operation from this side were not operating from the mindset in which they are operating. We don't have information as why they would do that first and foremost, when they clearly knew that Dr. Chiza Besigye has been going out of the country and he comes back. And they were clearly aware that he would be back, that they would not wait, even if they had any case put against him, to arrest him when in Uganda, should be a concern of all Ugandans. Why so? Because it would clearly mean that, one, either those who conducted this operation were in panic for whatever reason, one wouldn't understand. Two, that at their subconscious level, they have given up on the image of their government, that they no longer care about protecting image because basically maybe they think in their minds that they no longer have anything to protect in terms of image. You don't do that. As you can see, the attraction this case has raised, regionally, continentally, and internationally. What government would not care about its image when there are consequences of that nature? Unless at the subconscious level, they have given up on image. They no longer believe that they got an image to protect. Three, or those who are who conducted the operation are inept, that they have no capability to weigh when they are conducting or planning operations of that nature, to balance a number of issues before they make a decision of that nature. Or four, they are so reckless that they don't care about what happens. Now, in case it is any of those four, or a combination of them, that should make all of us worried as Ugandans. Because the management of security forces is key in the stability of a country. So if it is because of recklessness or ineptness, it should be a cause for concern for all of us, including those who are in the regime. Because we have got people who handle issues of that nature, to handle them the way they handle the matter. Even those who are senior in government, political as well as military, should think deeply on this particular issue. So we are happy and we thank you, the leader of opposition and the members of parliament who are here with you for hosting us this day. We should not let this matter rest. We are glad that there are regional interest, a number of political actors in this whole of East Africa, at the continental level, that are also raising pressure all around. We'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and also the members of the press for covering us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, especially the Leader of Opposition, for inviting us today for a common purpose, for a common cause. I have been already introduced, Mayanja Chibiriga, and I don't need a lot of introduction. And I am from the Justice Forum. I'll just take this opportunity to introduce one member of the Justice Forum here, who is here. And if there is any other one, he will let me know. But so far, I am with the Karunji Masmus, who is from the Justice Forum. Of course, we are here to condemn the abduction of our colleague and then being arraigned in the court-martial. And that's a very, very serious issue for all of us as opposition. I'm sure none of us here is safe. So it is really our duty to come up and take joint action like this. And I thank the Leader of Opposition for convening us in this fashion, because this is the only way we can really deliver a message that what was done was wrong, it was inhuman. Dr. Besigye was abducted in Kenya. So I'm not so much of a lawyer, but the scene of crime was in Kenya. How Uganda got the jurisdiction to go and abduct people from Kenya, the lawyers will tell us. But I think the Kenyan government also can be said to be involved, because otherwise they neglect the security of Ugandans or the security of non-Kenyans, and which puts all our lives in danger, that when you are in Kenya, anytime you can be abducted. So this case has implications on the East African community, implications on the international system of justice, and so on and so forth. But while all of that is going, we are saying that there is no reason why Dr. Besigye should be kept in prison. He should be, he should be released. He should be released. He should be tried in the civilian courts, because the lawyers have already emphasized this case. So we don't have to say much. It is enough that we have demonstrated this solidarity when one of us is being denied justice. And I want to thank all of you for making it to this interface with the press. So I take this opportunity to invite Honorable Winnie Kiza Besigye as Honorable Winnie Kiza as the next speaker.
Of the different political parties and formations that are in the room, our leader of the opposition, members of parliament, members of the press, we gather here today to condemn the manner in which our brothers, Dr. Kiza Besigye and Alhaj Abed Kamlegea, were abducted from Kenya, where they had gone on their personal and individual duties. Our elder, Dr. Mayanja Kibirige, referred to me as Honorable Winnie Kiza Besigye. I take it with dignity. Dr. Kiza Besigye is our mentor in politics. And in fact, when we were starting our political struggles, and I was named the Minister of Community Service, Gender and Community Development during the Reform Agenda time, the media said the Reform Agenda grouping lacked leaders, and Besigye decided to name his wife and positioned her in Kasese. So from that time, I was referred to as Dr. Besige's other wife. My husband is aware of that. And where I go, they call me Winnie Kiza Besige. I don't take offense. So I come here to join the other colleagues to condemn and stand in solidarity with Dr. Kiza Besige, wherever he is, and Abedi Kamlegea. It's so sad that Ugandans can look at this matter as a matter of Dr. Besige. Today is Dr. Besige, tomorrow is you. And I would like to say that an attack on any member of the opposition should be looked at as an attack to all of us. We join here as leaders of different political groupings because we know that Dr. Besige believes in the unity of the opposition. And so when we come here to join hands to condemn the act and condemn the President of the Republic of Uganda, the manner in which he's dispersing the issues of this republic, that is putting us in jeopardy as a country, the manner in which he has muzzled all state institutions and he thinks he is going to export this to other countries, is another issue that we should worry about. When Dr. Besige is accused of committing atrocities in Greece, atrocities in Geneva, atrocities in Kenya, and is arraigned in a military court in Uganda, is an issue that we should worry about in terms of diplomatic missions. Because I don't know at what stage President Museveni became the president of Greece, became the president of Geneva, and now is taking over the issues of Kenya. As a country, we should get worried. This should not be a matter of Dr. Besige. It's not a matter of only the members of the opposition. It's a matter for all of us, the citizens of Uganda. We should also be bothered that other people from other countries are getting concerned about the justice system of Uganda, and that we as citizens are at peace with ourselves. And having said this, I would like to invite all of us tomorrow to Makindi. One, to show solidarity, and then two, to send a signal that we are dissatisfied with the way citizens and non-military personnel are being arraigned in court martials. It happened to our people in the Renzoris in 2014. Citizens were arrested, arraigned in court martial, in a ground. Actually, the court was seated in a ground. And the judge was there, dancing around and about. And we knew this was an anomaly, it was an injustice, it was an illegality, but it continued. Those of us who saw it happen, we condemned it. Some citizens remained silent. Friends, it is an issue that we should all raise up to condemn, an issue that we should be preoccupied with, because it is an issue that concerns all of us. I would therefore like to call upon all of us to stand in solidarity. One, with Dr. Kiza Besige, but two, to condemn the manner in which they were arrested. Three, to say enough is enough, the way citizens are being treated, that anybody who has a different view from that of President Museveni is looked at as a rebel, is looked at as an enemy of the state, and so it defeats the purpose for which the Constitution was made. There are provisions of free association, freedom to associate, freedom to speak, freedom to assemble. But if all those freedoms are now no longer available for us, the citizens, then I don't see whether we still have any constitution to call a constitution. Friends, as you may be aware, lawyers came up to say we are taking on this matter. But as up to now, the Honorable Martha Karua's certificate that he asked for has not yet been granted. I would imagine similarly to other lawyers who want to come. What is the meaning of this to us as citizens? These are issues that we should begin pondering about and work harder to defend, because it may happen to Besigye today. When it happens to you tomorrow, there may be no one to speak. All the other energies will be depleted. So we need to come together in solidarity. We need to support one another at times like these. And then we need also to continue showing our government that they can do better. And that we as citizens will not just look on as they violate our rights, as they manipulate the Constitution, and as they do illegalities in our face. We shall continue to speak, just like the speakers before me mentioned it. There is no amount of intimidation. There is no amount of coercion. There is nothing that is going to stop us from speaking what we believe in as being the right for the people of Uganda. There is nothing that is going to stop us from demanding for justice. There is nothing that will stop us for demanding for good governance. I want to thank you for listening to me, and I want to call upon all of us once again, let us be at court tomorrow. And we continue to make statements to our nation and the government of President Museveni that the capture of institutions will not stop the will of the people to happen. We shall continue fighting, we shall continue mobilizing, we shall continue speaking no matter what. Having said that,
very much. Mr. President, sir, I bring greetings from the Conservative Party. I have been told to thank the NUP for organizing a meeting of this magnitude. We in the Conservative Party think that if arrangements of this kind go on, we are capable of collectively fighting the omnipotent dictator. And I think that Honorable Bobi, Honorable Kyagulanyi, you have opened a window for the opposition to begin working cautiously, mindful of the dictator. With reference to a case in law known as Human Rights Network versus Attorney General and others, the Constitutional Court ruled that the content of POMA that was stopping politicians or political parties from holding meetings and demonstrations are null and void. They did not stop there. The court added that as if that was not enough, the contents of Article 92 of the Constitution stop Parliament from passing any other law to replace the one which has been nullified. When the Attorney General says he was appealing against that judgment, he's deceiving himself, because Uganda has already ratified the International Covenant on People's Social, Political, and Economic Rights, meaning that we do not expect the Supreme Court to nullify the laws that we have already signed for as a nation. The time is now for all of us, the political parties in Uganda, to work together and fight that dictatorship. There is nothing that stops us from calling public meetings and demonstrating publicly. Who is doing that? Now, on the matter regarding Dr. Kizza Besigye, thank you very much, honorable members of the political parties, for coming together to respond to the clarion call of NUP. Dr. Kizza Besigye, whom we are remembering today and we are fighting for, is a great fighter for freedom. He has persisted all the years to fight for human rights in Uganda. And nobody can succeed the war of fighting for freedom without persistency. That is why up to now we honor Martin Luther King Jr., we honor Mahatma Gandhi, we honor Nelson Mandela, we honor Benedicto Juan Govaro, because of the record they left in fighting for freedom persistently. I call upon you all to remember the call of persistency, because without persistency you may not cause any impact in this world. When I look at the case which Honorable Lukwago and others are trying to manage, I even laugh, because Honorable Lukwago successfully explained in court. I was there. After that explanation, I don't see anything like a sub judice rule being applied, because under Article 28, Clause 7 of the Constitution, the charges which were narrated in court do not stand. They do not stand, because unless Uganda wants to annex Kenya, but Kenya is a sovereign state. So when the chairman of the committee said that on the 10th you should come for mentioning what case which does not stand. There's no case standing. Anybody is free to talk about the case now being pleaded. I would like to thank the lawyers, including Martha, who is a fellow conservationist, for endeavoring to protect the rights of a Ugandan. We should feel proud that we have friends across the republic that are capable of coming to our favor when we are in danger. Finally, the president of NUP talked about the Anti-Corruption Day. In Uganda, if we want to effectively fight corruption, we should adopt the federal governance model, the model of a federalism, to empower the regions with the power to fight corruption. You cannot fight corruption when you have no power. The districts are too small to fight corruption, because under federalism, power fights power. Power checks power. You must own power to be able to check power. That is another very important chapter, which at one time I will endeavor to articulate. With those few words, honorable members from the political parties and the parliamentarians, to copy from the experience which has been noted by us through this important gathering, masterminded by NUP. And we thank NUP. We didn't know that you can be so effective as you are now. Let us use this chapter of collectiveness to endeavor to fight so many other wars that are coming in front of us tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kenny. I don't know what I can say after all my colleagues have talked, and I can feel what Honorable Kyagulanyi experiences whenever we are in meetings like this, because he speaks last. But as the saying goes, that he who speaks last or who laughs last laughs best. Let me make 2 points. First of all, I thank the Leader of Opposition and NUP for organizing this event. I want to remind the President of Uganda that in 1980, when he went to the bush, 2 people were arrested by the army. One of them was General Salim Saleh. Your Excellency the President, when your brother was arrested, remember the message you sent to the former Vice President and Minister of Defense, the late Paul Mwanga. Because you are not trusting the courts then, you threatened that if he doesn't release your brother, you are going for him. So you should remember that. The way you felt when your brother was arrested is the way Ugandans are feeling when their children, when their brothers are abducted and are subjected to the court-martial. The second person that I want to remind the President of Uganda was his former Secretary General at the time, Honorable Bidandi Sali. Museveni went to the bush today. The following day, Bidandi Sali was arrested and he was incarcerated in the army barracks for 1 year and 4 months. I want to ask the President of Uganda, when you were in Rushikaire's house discussing about going to the bush or discussing about the way forward after the election, there were two options. You said you will go to the bush, and the Bidandi said, no, let us go and organize the party. Now you decided to go to the bush, the Bidandis decided to do otherwise. They remained here. I want to ask the President, was Bidandi arrested because he was going to overthrow government? Because you know very well that he was objected to that idea, vehemently objected. So are you telling us that that is what is now happening, that you went to fight? So I wanted to say this, maybe our president is no longer recalling what happened then. President, Mr. Museveni, they are correcting me here. The second point I want to make is a clarion call to all Ugandans. As we are sitting here in solidarity against the abduction and consequently the arraigning of Dr. Besigye and his co-accused to the court-martial, what Museveni has succeeded into is to isolate us wherever we are fighting for justice. When I'm being persecuted, Noop is isolated from me. When border borders are being persecuted, the hawkers are in their comfort. When the doctors are being persecuted, the teachers are in their comfort. At no one point, we have come together to fight against injustice as Ugandans. Where are the religious leaders in this? Where are the religious leaders? Where are the academicians? Where are the professionals in this? Where are they? Are they waiting the time when he will go to them and then they call us to come and defend them? In countries where they have fought injustice, the professionals, the religious leaders, the middle class, they all come together to fight this injustice. Until we realize this, until we appreciate this, this injustice shall keep on, shall keep on. So I call upon all those groups to come forward and join this struggle of fighting the injustice. Otherwise, we shall keep on fighting, and we shall keep on fighting in isolation from one another, and we will never succeed. Thank you very much.
Doreen, who is amidst us. I also want to recognize the presence of Mr. Give us a way forward, and then we can see what to do next. Thank you very much.
If the state has got any case to prefer against any of these people, whether it be Dr. Kiza Besigye, whether it be all the different political prisoners, take them to the civilian courts. That's what we're saying. Of course, they normally will run away from the civilian courts because they know it will be a lot harder for them to have a tight grip. People are denied bail in the military courts, which is usually might not necessarily be the case with the civilian courts. So we are saying,
Mr. Law, why would you speculate that they have other charges?
if, that's what I'm saying, if. Let's not have a back and forth over these colleagues. But that is good counsel that we can keep building on.
But the point is, if the state wants to charge any of us over anything, that's okay, because we are not law breakers. So we are not saying don't charge us. The same way we keep saying, if you want to arrest any of us, do it within the law. We are not saying we are impervious to arrest. None of us is above the law. But if you choose to arrest me, don't abduct me in a drone. All right? If you want to prefer any charge against me, take me to the civilian court, not the military court. So that's the issue, really. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We have come to the end. I'm now going to be inviting the different leaders to come and sign this, our joint document. I think they'll do it from here on this podium with ease. I'm hoping the camera people are not disenfranchised in any way. We change the podium. Odom Sadam Gaira we have pretty much come to the end of this joint press address by leaders of the different opposition political parties and entities. I want to again thank our leaders for coming and for doing this in solidarity. As we wrap up, we are going to sign a joint statement. I'm going to request Council Lewis Ruongoya to come and read to us that statement that is going to be signed by the senior leaders, a joint statement in solidarity with Dr. Kiza Besigye, Haji Obed Kamulegea, and all the other different political prisoners that are being illegally persecuted using the military courts. Kindly read it to us and then we'll sign.
Thank you very much, distinguished leaders. Here is a statement, 9th December 2024. Joint statement on the abduction of Dr. Kiza Besigye and Haj Obed Kamulegea from Kenya and the arraignment before the General Court Martial. We, the undersigned leaders of different political parties and formations, do hereby, 1, condemn the abduction of Dr. Kiza Besigye and Haj Obed Kamulegea from Kenya, a sovereign state, on the 16th of November 2024, in complete violation of domestic, regional, and international laws. 2, condemn their trial in the military court, which has no jurisdiction to try civilians, and further assert our belief that they cannot get a free and fair trial at the General Court Martial, where the military is the complainant, the prosecutor, and the judge. 3, demand an end to the trial of civilians in military courts in adherence of numerous rulings by Uganda's Constitutional Court. All cases involving numerous political prisoners and other civilians must be terminated or transferred to civilian courts. 4, call upon Chief Justice Owunyidolo and the Supreme Court to rise to the occasion and put a final end to the trial of civilians in military courts and the attendant violations of human rights. 5, demand that the charges against Dr. Kiza Besigye and Haj Obed Kamulegea are dropped, and if not, that they are swiftly transferred to civilian courts bearing jurisdiction to try the alleged offenses. I thank you very much. That is a statement.
Robert Chagulanya signed on behalf of NUP. General Muntu is signing on behalf of ANT. Honorable Man has signed first on behalf of CP. Honorable Sadam Gaira on behalf of PPP. Erias Lukwago on behalf of PFF. He says, and FDC. He's a Salongo. Salongos have twins, so there you are. Haji Chivirge Mayanja on behalf of Jema as founding leader. And former leader of opposition, Honorable Winnie Kiza as another witness. And if it is allowable, all MPs would be signing, but for now, let me sign on behalf of the MPs.